go. Here we go. So y'all, welcome to class. Let me get that off the screen there for the moment. So welcome to keto class. Tonight we are going to talk about keto. I hate to say keto nuts. We're going to talk about nuts because Friday was National Nut Day. So I want to really talk about this. This is something that I talk about a lot. This is something that I touch on often because I think it's very important, and I see a lot of individuals either using nuts in order to enhance the keto lifestyle, and others using them in a way that does not enhance the keto lifestyle. So hey Dre, I see you on Facebook. I appreciate you popping in there. Thank you much for popping in and engaging, y'all, because this is social media, so you got to be social. All right. So being social definitely helps share this information with other people. So if you find it valuable, definitely share or like or whatever the platform you're on that indicates a hand clap or whatever it might be, that the information is valuable to you. So I got a couple more people popped in there, y'all. So remember, on the Facebook and YouTube side, allow StreamYard to recognize you so they can see you. As Andrea says, sexy quads, because she just had a knee replacement surgery. And we had a conversation about continuing the keto lifestyle because sometimes the stress can get to you and you decide you want to go off of it. And she's noticing such a great decrease in that inflammation in that leg. And she is ahead of the game. She's ahead of the game and had a setback in the beginning, and she's still ahead of the game. So she's having amazing results by using the keto lifestyle, which is great. So y'all, tonight we're going to talk about nuts. I'm going to talk about, are they hindering you or are they helping you? So how can you use them? And in inside of the mastermind, we call it eating with a purpose. And I always got to shout Lori out. I know Lori hadn't been in the mastermind in a little while, but if she hears this and she pops in here, she know I still always shout her out because she called it eating with a purpose. I always called it getting to the goal line. Getting to the goal line, meaning you're eating with a goal in mind, right? You're eating with the goal in mind. And teaching, they call it beginning with the end in mind. So it's the same type concept because you want to make sure that you are focused on the goal. So what's the goal? Usually with the ketogenic lifestyle, the goal is to get the fat numbers up, because I always talk about you need about 120 grams of fat. That's what separates low carb from keto. So I teach the 120 grams of fat, and granted, your number is going to go up or down a little bit depending on your size and weight and goals and all of those type things. So that may fluctuate a little bit. So, but 120, I tell people that because then when you enter it in the app and it says 125, you're not alarmed. Or when you see something over 100, you're not alarmed. But you need to get somewhere close to 120 grams of carbs. So you got to get that 120 grams of carbs. I'm saying carbs, y'all. My bad. 100. I'm over here tapping the screen over here on the Clubhouse side as well. So my brain shifted away. So let me get focused. So you're going to need about 120 grams of fat. So with that said, nuts is a great source. So y'all may hear me say get your 20s. So those who've been around me for a little while, y'all may hear me say get your 20s, because my whole thought is if I need to get $120, I would rather get it in 20s, maybe even 50s, but we can't. It's hard to get 50 grams of fat out of something on the keto lifestyle. But if I'm going to get $120, I would rather get it in 20s than ones and fives, right? So if I can, and so I call it getting your 20s. So you accumulate your grams of fat throughout the day by focusing on getting the 20-gram chunks in a sense. So this is what I teach, and nuts and seeds are a great way to help you get there, especially by the ounce. So let me start with the one. Let me give y'all the first one that I want to share with y'all is the one that a lot of people mess up with, that I hear a lot of people talk about, and it's pistachios. I'm sorry, cashews. It's cashews. So I'm pulling up the cashews on my screen for those of y'all who can't see it. So let's look at the macros on the cashews. And I'm really just looking at the nutritional label here on cashews. And of course it would be loading slow, but it's coming up there. So when we talk about cashews, people tend to love cashews, especially when they're newer to the ketogenic lifestyle, because they're sweeter, right? Because they're sweeter. And I notice that people tend to gravitate towards the sweeter nuts. So when we look at the total carbohydrates on cashews, Total carbs of 1 ounce of cashews is 8 grams of total carbs. So when I talk about getting the 120 grams of fat, we also talk about the 20 grams of carbs that most people are going to stay under. Pretty much everyone that I'm coaching and they're in weight loss mode is doing 20 grams or less, unless they have become more advanced and they've been with me for a while. But for the most part, everyone is 20 grams and under. So if you're doing 20 grams of carbs and under, you're not getting 8 grams of carbs from 1 ounce of I keep wanting to call them pistachios or cashews. So you have to really be mindful of that. I think there are many people that make that mistake. And why? Because cashews are so delicious. I never liked cashews personally, but I know my mom loves cashews. I personally never liked them, but I know there's many love cashews, and because they have a sweeter taste to them. And again, that's what we're fighting against, and I think that's why people gravitate towards these. But let me compare these to a different nut, just so you can kind of see as to why I say no cashews. I mean, cashews in general, I think just the 8 grams of carbs should be enough. When you look at the total fat, you got 13 grams of total fat for 1 gram of for 1 ounce of cashews. So I'm just gonna click this one. This is pistachios. We're gonna go away from that one. Let's go to the macadamia nut. So if I go to the macadamia nuts and I'm gonna pull up the nutritional facts on the macadamia nuts, right? So on the macadamia nuts, and my computer is loading super slow today, but here we go. It came up. Let's see. Do we have the nutritional facts on this one? I may have to pull up a different brand. So no nutritional facts popping up on this one. So I'm going to pull up another brand of macadamia nuts. Believe it or not, y'all, I had all of this up and loaded and my camera wouldn't load. So I had to shut the computer down and reboot. Oh, you know what? The macadamia nuts I chose are the ones that are at Costco, which are because I figured they're pretty popular. So I did choose those. There they go right here. So the macadamia nuts from Costco are the ones I chose. Now, when I look at the label, of course, when you look at the label, shouldn't be anything in there but macadamia nuts and maybe some salt or something like that. And you may see some things that tell you that they're processed in a plant that process other nuts, which is fine, unless you have allergies to those. So when we look at macadamia nuts, it says 4 grams of total carbs with 2 grams of fiber. So we're looking at 2 grams of net carbs. So you're looking at 2 grams of net carbs for macadamia nuts, opposed to the 8 grams of net carbs with cashews. And you're going to get 24 grams of fat. So with these macadamia nuts from Costco, you're going to get 24 grams of fat. So let's just look at it, y'all. If I eat 2 ounces of macadamia nuts, I can only have 4 grams of carbs. And honestly, this is like really rounded up, because really macadamia nuts are like 1 point something in carbs. But just to think, I can get 4 grams of carbs, of net carbs, and get 48 grams of fat. So I can get 48 grams of fat with just 2 ounces of macadamia nuts, opposed to I'm going to eat a cashew that has 8 grams of carbs and 13 grams of fat. So let me compare that same macadamia nut. Let's compare that to cashews. I said cashews, pistachios. For some reason or another, cashews and pistachios in my brain are like the same doggone thing. So pistachios, when I look at pistachios and we look total carbs, their total carbs 8, and then dietary fiber 3. So we get 5 grams of total carbs, right? For 13 grams of fat. Here again, why am I going to eat a pistachio? Now, this is if I am eating with a purpose. Now, some people may be like, oh, you too technical or whatever. But if you're eating with a purpose and you got a goal in mind, or you're eating with a goal in mind, I'm not eating pistachios unless I'm at lunch and one of my friends say, hey, I got some pistachios. You want some? And I put my hand out and they put a couple in there and I eat some. But I'm not buying a bag of pistachios. I'm not buying a bag of pistachios unless it's just a dire need, because you're too likely to overeat these. You think 5 grams of total carbs. So if you eat 1 ounce, you have 5 grams of carbs. So you didn't eat 1/4 of your grams of carbs for the day off of just a little over a handful of pistachios, right? So if you think about that, if you ate 2 ounces of these, you would be at 10 grams of carbs. You would be halfway to your total carbs for the day if you ate 2 ounces. But let's compare that again to the macadamia nut. So if I ate 2 ounces of that macadamia nut, I still wouldn't be at the 5 grams of carbs I am with 1 ounce, and I would have 48 grams of fat from a macadamia nut. So okay, I may be over dramatizing this whole macadamia nut thing, but let's go and look at pecans. Pecans. Pecans, whatever you call them in your region. We always have that joke in the mastermind because everyone calls them something different. So let's look at pecans in the same light that we're looking at pistachios. So let's look at the pecans. So if I look at there, we got 4 grams of total carbs and three grams of fiber. So there's literally 1 gram of carbs. So if I ate 2 ounces of pistachios, I'm sorry, y'all. If I ate 2 grams of these pecans, I could get 40 grams of fat. And let me just let this be still. That's 40 grams of fat. 40 grams of fat for 2 ounces of this particular nut, which is the pecan. So here again, if you're eating with a purpose, you're not going out and buying pistachios. You're not going out and buying cashews because they're not going to help you get to the goal line as fast as some of the as fast as which I consider to be the top 3. And I'll bring up my next one, which is Brazil nuts. And I wish I had these pages up, but I apologize because that is definitely eating with a purpose. If you're eating pistachios, y'all, 9 times out of 10, if you're not really good at counting your macros, you may be hindering hindering your success on the ketogenic lifestyle. So when we look at these Brazil nuts here, and I hope I clicked the right one here. Let's see. The one that's going to give me some macros. So yes, we got some macros there. So looking at Brazil nuts, these are also around 20 before I even pull it up on the screen. Because that's why I call it getting your 20s. That's why Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts, and pecans are my favorite. So Ebony say you got to laugh and cry, right? So you can see that they are, let me pull it back on this screen. I think we can see it bigger. So you can see with the Brazil nuts, it's the same concept. 1 gram of total carbs. 1 gram of net carbs for 19 grams of fat. So here again, you can get 2 carbs and 40 grams of fat. So I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat a pistachio. I'm not going to eat a pecan. I'm sorry, not a pecan. I'm not going to eat it. I got so many of these nuts in my brain, y'all. I'm just spitting them all out. So you're not going to eat a pistachio. You're not going to eat a cashew if you're eating with a purpose. So let me go now to the almonds because almonds get touchy, y'all. When I talked about almonds, people be ready to log off. But let's look at almonds, y'all. So when we look at almonds are like middle of the road. Like I forgot my L. So almonds are like middle of the road. So yes, you can eat those and still be ketogenic. You can eat those and not be too far off the beaten path. But if fat is the hardest thing to get, and y'all, I'm like typing and looking and everything. So if I sound choppy, that's why. Waiting on Amazon to load up here. So let's see here with the almonds. There we go. Whole almonds here. The Amazon brand. My computer is slow motion. So yes, y'all, we're talking about the nuts and how they can aid you and how they can hurt you on the ketogenic lifestyle. So here we go. Let's get the Amazon brand up here of these almonds. So when we look at almonds compared to the top 3 that I gave you, almonds are somewhere around my 5 or 6. You're getting 3 grams of net carbs from almonds. So 3 grams of net carbs. So almonds are not as bad as cashews and pistachios, but you're going to get 3 grams from the almond. And then you're going to get 14 grams of fat. So if you're eating with a purpose, I'm going for the pecan. I'm going for the Brazil nut because I can get 1 carb and I can get 40 grams of fat for literally with 1 carb left over rather than eating almonds. I hope this makes sense to those who can't see what I'm talking about. But almonds would be my protein. So if I needed to get some extra protein, that's when I would go to the almonds. But if we're looking for fat, you want to stick with the top three. Now, the last thing that I'll talk about here, and definitely y'all come on up. If y'all got any questions or anything y'all want me to look up, let me show y'all peanuts, because peanuts are another one of the things that I think people tend to go after a lot is peanuts. And let me show you why I say stick with the top three. The Brazil nuts, the macadamia nuts, and the pecans, and then walnuts is like my number four. And don't forget that Evie baby, I don't know if you're on here tonight. I don't know if you're on here, but I didn't forget about the pili nuts. So we'll talk about those to close it out tonight. So we're putting in here peanuts, because peanuts are another one that a lot of people go after that like to eat, you know. And I think that, and I like to try to say the same brand. So here we go again with this Happy Belly brand, because that's the Amazon brand. When we look at these, you're going to see the macros are not going to be really what you would like to see. But you can see that these actually come out to be one gram of carbs. Now, granted, depending on where you are, but it's 15 grams of fat. So in this scenario, in this brand, the peanuts would be a little bit better than the almonds. Now, you got to really be careful with peanuts, because that number can change. But right here, you can see they're 1 gram, but you're getting 15 grams of fat. So in my mind, if I'm eating with a purpose, I'm gonna eat the one that I can get 20 grams of fat from. Now, if you just love peanuts, then okay, but understand that if fat is the hardest thing to get, that's one of the things that you need to focus on to make sure that you can get that number, that you can get that in. So last but not least, let's talk about pili nuts, and then we'll open up the floor. So let's go here and look at, I think I got pili nuts already up. Yeah, here we go. So pili nuts, this is a good find, and these are newer on the market. And when I say newer, I mean they're not like last week new, but they're not as popular as peanuts and almonds and Brazil nuts and all those things. But pili nuts, you can find those on Amazon. Pili nuts are crazy with the amount of fat that they have for like 1 gram of carb. So you'll see it pop up there in a second. But pili nuts, you must be mindful that with pili nuts, you have to get the keto version, because they do have a non-keto version that's going to have a higher number of carbs in it. So you just got to be mindful of that with the pili nuts. So you can see it's 1 gram of carb and it's like 23 grams of fat. So the pili nut is going to give you the most fat for 1 gram of carb. So I'm going to stick with those. Walnuts are also really good with 1 gram of carb and 20 grams of fat. So I always teach to go get your 20s. So this is the way that you can get your 20s on the ketogenic lifestyle, because fat is the hardest thing to get. So a lot of people will ask me about protein shakes, and I always shut protein shakes down, because my whole thought is this: if protein is such an easy thing to get, you could just go to the back of the store. You can go back there and get all of the meat products, and you can get as much protein as you need. You also can get protein from nuts as well, but protein is easy to get. We don't need to supplement protein. So that's why y'all hear me talk about a fat shake all of the time, because the fat shake that I talk about is sitting there behind me. It has 20 grams of fat in there. I also talk about the Boathouse has 20 grams of fat, because that's what we need to supplement. We don't need to supplement protein, because protein is very easy to get. you can get that very easily. So I love to teach ways to get healthy sources of fat, because we haven't been taught that. We have not been taught how to get fat in this diet, in any dietary lifestyle. Why? Because everyone has canceled fat. And so over the years, everything has been low fat, low fat, low fat. And the individuals in my mastermind have seen me do store walks, where we do a class and I'll just walk through the store and pick up items. And the yogurt section is the most frustrating section that you can deal with. It's the most frustrating section, because when I first started keto 4.5 years ago, they talked about how yogurt was one of the best sources of fat. And now you can't even find a full fat yogurt in most stores. Like it's such a hard thing to find, because they probably don't sell much of it. Everything is 2%, 0%. Everything is all 5%. Everything is some type of low fat type of yogurt nowadays. So fat is so hard and so difficult to get. You don't need you need to find ways, and nuts are definitely one of the greatest ways. You said were you overweight in the past? So yes. So I know a lot of people like to I know people ask that question because sometimes you deal with people who don't know the struggle. I know the struggle. I know the struggle double. So I was overweight as a preteen. So I'm 6'4" now, but I was 5'8" with the same 6'4" weight as a preteen. So I dealt with being overweight during that period of time, and then maybe between ninth and 10th grade year, I had a growth spurt, and I was like 6 feet tall. And I was still a little overweight, and then I stretched out a little bit more and then I was like really skinny. So I heard both ends of the spectrum in that sense. I heard people calling me fat, and I heard people telling me I was too skinny. So you never felt like you could be good enough at that moment. And then as an adult, I was up to about 250 pounds. I was pre-diabetic. I tell a story that I went to the Michael Jackson 1 show in Las Vegas and had a great time. But I just remember being so uncomfortable. I remember just tossing and turning in my seat. And this is someone who was an athlete. I even when I was overweight as a preteen, I played all day. I played sports all day long. But after I got home from the Michael Jackson 1 show, I saw the picture and I didn't like the way I looked. As I said, I've been an athlete all my life, and I had been just running and jumping and doing all the things for so long that when I saw that picture, I was like, wow, that's me. My clothes didn't fit me like I wanted them to fit. I went to so literally shortly after that, I went to the doctor, and I went to a nurse. The nurse took my blood pressure. She says, your blood pressure is skyrocketing. You need to go see a doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're pre-diabetic. Let me get this medication for you. So, all of those things hit me all at once. And I made the decision that I was going to have to make a change in my life. I was going to have to start to make a change. And yeah, so yes, long story short, yes, I've been overweight. I've dealt with all the things, and maybe everyone's story is different. And I know that I probably had less to lose than a lot of people. I've helped more people lose much more weight than I personally lost. But yes, I know the struggle. I know the struggle. I know the whispers. I hear people when they're talking about you need to stop eating because you're overweight. And I heard that as a preteen. I could be with my friends, and we all would go to the store, all come back with candy, and I would be the one that shouldn't have it. So I've been there. I know the struggle firsthand. So I know people ask that question sometimes because you like to know that you're being taught or coached by someone who has some empathy, based on what's going on. And I know that there are some people in the nutritional world that have always been fit and they don't really have respect for people who are overweight in some instances. And I'm not speaking about everyone, but I've seen it firsthand where they don't have respect and don't think that you should be overweight and something's wrong with you for being overweight. And trust and believe that's not where I come from. So just to answer that question, so I remember you saying that Too Good yogurt is good. So yes, Too Good yogurt is probably the best yogurt out there because and granted, it does have tapioca starch in the less than 1%. And I've done my blood sugar on it, and it did not increase it in a crazy way. I think it went up like 2 points. So it's the best yogurt that you're going to get. If you're going to get some yogurt with some flavor, that's going to be the best one for you. So let's see. I got a few people in here that said just understanding the benefits, nutrition in them. Yes. So what's up, Triple J in the building? Said, what's up, Coach E? Schoolers. Yes. So yes, indeed. I appreciate y'all all popping in there, y'all. So I thank y'all for popping in on the YouTube and Facebook side. Y'all check out my book. Y'all can see the picture of my book there. It's behind me too. It's called The Keto Playbook. It is on Amazon. It is not an Amazon bestseller yet because y'all haven't made it one yet. All right. I always say that. So it is on Amazon. You can check it out. It's an easy read, y'all. I really make everything elementary so that you can truly understand the lifestyle. And really, that's probably got a lot more to do with me because I take information, and when it goes in complex, it always comes out of my mouth simplified because I never was a person that understood complex information. I always had to simplify it in order to learn it. So I always had to simplify it in order to learn it. So for sure, check out the book on Amazon. Y'all check out the links in the bio if you want the free document that has the 100 keto swaps, the 148 item shopping list, also with the 23 frequently asked questions, and I also have my meal plan there. And y'all heard me talk about some other things. Just check out the link in the bio, y'all. My phone number is there for those who can see that behind me. Feel free to shoot me a text. It's me. It's not a bot. You shoot me a text. We'll set up a time where we can chat, and I can help you through the lifestyle. So y'all make sure y'all come to the after party on Clubhouse and in TikTok. So y'all meet me in the after party, and we'll do our Q&A. So I'll see you all soon. And all I say every week, y'all, is the only thing I ask y'all to do is have a great week. And I'll see y'all again next Sunday on Facebook and YouTube. See y'all soon.